Hello, and welcome to the Raise Summit, where I'm in the Emma booth, and we're going to be talking about infrastructure as prompt and kind of digging into the next layer down. Joining me is the head engineers here, Alexey, who's going to actually take us through a little bit lower level of this. But let's start out with what is infrastructure as prompt and why.
So I think that over the last year, a lot of engineers found themselves stop using the tools that they used before, which were about infrastructure as code, Terraform, Pulumi, or something like this. And they just started prompting agents to do the operations. And for me, it's in a way going back to the common line interface, but with the more natural language.
I think what makes that exciting to me is that it makes it more accessible to people because you don't have to learn how to code in Terraform, and it's a lot easier. But there's also the aspect that it's just such a broad topic when you're doing infrastructure as code, and you have to be right many times or things can go horribly wrong. Tell us how the agents that Emma is producing under the hood are helping those.
Sure. I think in general, the overall approach across the industry is about specializing the agents in a specific domains. I don't think that operators don't need to know the domains. So the domain knowledge still is important because you need to review what is happening. But basically creating a harness that is dedicated to a specific domain helps to guardrail agent to stay within specific boundaries and produce the result you expect versus producing different result every time you try to do certain tasks.
So for instance, because Emma supports things like Google and GCP, AWS, Azure, and on-prem and VMware. So this helps because they all have slightly different languages and terminology, how they call their instances, what kinds of Kubernetes they're using. This allows them to have not less knowledge, but not have to know the specifics of that.
Yes, but in reality, so this only helps when you want to integrate with the existing accounts and work directly with the cloud providers. And we also support this. But on the other hand, we have the platform that we developed for years, and it already has an orchestration abstraction layer that simplifies for the agent management of the multi-cloud. So it's already at the API level, does not need to know the specifics of the cloud. But what I'm saying when I'm talking about domain is when you want to optimize the cost efficiency, then for this, you would probably have a dedicated agent that understands the patterns, what to look for, and so on. Then there is a infrastructure agent, or it can be even specialized Kubernetes agent that only knows how to deploy Kubernetes and work with it operationally. And same with the virtual machines or some other reasons.
So you're putting kind of guardrails using the agents because you're keeping them very specific.
Yeah. So for example, for the policies and governance, you probably want a dedicated agent that knows what SOC 2 is or shitty.
Yeah. And I think it's really important from what I've seen, just talking to other organizations on the floor here, is that it's not only the fact that you're having that, it's you use the right one for the right timing so that it's not like you're spinning up hundreds and hundreds of agents all at once and you're keeping them running. You're bringing up the right agent for the right task.
Exactly. You have the hooks within the prompts, or you can execute the command that is related to a dedicated agent, and it will spin up a specific domain expert for you.
So sovereignty is a big issue with customers around the world now, especially AI sovereignty, because they want to keep their data and their connections, but at the same time, they have to many times connect between different clouds. How does Emma help with that connection between clouds as well? Because I think the agents help make that simple as well.
So it depends. Historically, we also have a product or part of the product that is Multicloud network, which connects privately between different cloud providers and allows you to control where the exchange points are deployed and how the traffic goes between your cloud providers. But on the other hand, again, this also simplifies the way of migrating between cloud providers, because before you had to define a very complicated logic based on the user use case, and application to application, the migration would be different. But with the agent, you can, for example, again, create certain guardrails for different use cases. And based on what you need to migrate, it would be able to spin up new resource, make the transfer of the data for you via private network or internet, depending on what you prefer, and then confirm that it actually reflects what was on the initial machine.
So it's taking that the agent is able to kind of put the guardrails on sovereignty for you so that you understand if that's one of your prompts into it.
Yeah, sorry, I think I kind of got off track. So for the sovereignty, first of all, you have the agent, which is an expert of checking where the data is stored, where your resources are allocated, and suggest some improvements based on your governance policy. But then there is also the subject of actually migrating all this to make your infrastructure sovereign. And it's not a single agent that can do this. It's a kind of a swarm of agents that will do the job.
So it helps, again, because I look at it and the state of the art was, hey, I go in, I maybe use a spreadsheet to try to figure out where everything is. And then maybe if I'm good enough, I'm using APIs and a dashboard. This goes far beyond just a dashboard and helps people understand, because they can not only see the infrastructure, as you can see on the screen behind us here, but they can also interact with the infrastructure naturally.
So it's much easier to collect all the data about your infrastructure through the agent instead of going by yourself, region to region, and certain providers collecting all this.
And one of the things is that this is just agnostic, because you have partnerships with many of the neoclouds that are here, as well as the different major hyperscalers and some of the regional providers as well. And the agents don't care. They just know what's in your infrastructure.
Especially if we're talking about Emma for agent, the main advantage is that in the platform itself, it's already agnostic from the orchestration perspective. And that's why the harness itself is not as complicated as when you need to integrate all those providers separately and create an orchestration yourself. So we create orchestration for you before the agent got into the picture, and now we're just leveraging this to create a better experience.
So the magic isn't necessarily the agents, but it's the orchestration and the underlying data that you're bringing together with the agents that really makes it powerful. Well, this has been great, Alexey. I really appreciate it. Thank you, and stay tuned for more from Ray Summit.